Did you then ever think about doing it full time, or was it just the being a DJ was like nice stuff on the weekend, but I'm gonna have to find a job?
No, once I really got into it, I went hard. I went hard,
Wow.
and I just knew I just focused. I had other stuff I was doing, running the streets and doing whatever, but my main focus was hip hop, and it was to do music. That was the main thing, especially after, me, Vin, and Treach formed Naughty by Nature. Well, it started off as New Style, and that was we formed that when I was in the 12th grade in
12th
high
grade.
school. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, we formed that in high school at my senior talent show. So once we formed that, like I knew, and I was 17 years old at that time. So I knew from 17 years old that that's what the plan was to be, was just figuring out how and just getting better as a group, and us individually making everything tight, getting it all together. But we knew that that's what we were trying to do from
So,
that point on.
so you said there was a talent show. Did you just see Trent and Vinny and say, guys, let's form a group, or how did that come about?
Well, like I said, that formed when I was a senior in high school. They were juniors in high school.
Okay.
So in the high school, it's East Orange High School, where we're all from, because we're all from East Orange, New Jersey, even at Treach. So the senior talent show, I was already DJing, and I was going to be in the senior talent show as a DJ myself. But then I lived on 18th Street in East Orange. Vin lived on 15th Street, 3 blocks from me. So I always knew Vin, even growing up, even before we got to high school. I didn't meet Treach until me and Vin didn't meet Treach until we actually got to high school.
Okay.
But Vin used to break dance around the way. I knew he was a break dancer. I knew him. We used to play football together, all that stuff. We went to school together, elementary, all of them, those grades,
Wow.
all the grades growing up. We all went, me and him, because like I said, we 3 blocks away from each other. Treach lived a little bit further, more blocks away. So his school,
School district. Okay.
Yeah, when you get to high school, everybody go to the same high school, but the elementary schools and the middle schools are different. It's by your area, so you go to school closest to your area where you live at. So like I said, me and Vin being 3 blocks away, we went to the same elementary and middle schools together. And then, so with that being said, I knew Vin was a beatbox. He did the beatbox, and I knew he was a break dancer because he used to break dance with a guy that lived directly across the street from me named Ski. So as sometime, like when they would be out there practicing break dance, and they had linoleum out on the sidewalk, I would be up on my sun porch practicing DJing. So I would basically be supplying the music for them.
Okay.
So I'm playing the music and I'm running break beats, and they're break dancing really to my music. So when it came time for me to be in the talent show, I asked Vin, yo, do you want to beatbox? And I'll scratch. I want to do more than just play some music. I want to do like a show, and he was like, all right, bet. So we started rehearsing and coming up with routines. And then we both felt like it could use an MC. So I was just like, I don't have nobody. He said, you know what? I have this guy in my health class named Tiny. Yeah, his name named Tiny, who later became Tiny T, who later became Double T, and later became Double T Treachery, and now known as Treach. But yeah, Tiny. So Tiny was in his health class. He introduced me to Treach, and then Treach started coming over. We started putting together the routine for the talent show. We did the talent show. Didn't have a name. It was, like I said, it was just supposed to be me, myself DJing. So we didn't have a name. I just came out there with them, and we did it. And I scratched in "It's the New Style" from the Beastie Boys. And then the talent show went over so well. Everybody was like, yo, y'all were dope. Y'all stole the show. Da, 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 da. That was dope what y'all did. So from there, we just started going under the name The New Style. And we just started doing talent shows around the way and went in a bunch of talent shows and started going into the studio from there and said, hey, we winning these talent shows. Let's just start. What's the next thing? What's the evolution to this? What's the next thing? The next thing is to go in the studio and let's just like really take it serious and start making music and try to get a deal. So we started going in the studios and developing it. And here we came.
Yeah. Now you talk about the studio, and I guess for some of us, I think now it's different. You can set up a laptop and make music. But how do high school or 18-year-olds go into a recording studio to make music? I mean, is it free? Do you know, or do you have to pay?
No, it's not free. You got to pay. You got to pay. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's about investing in your future. Yeah. So that's what we did. It's not like we went in the studio every day.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was once in a while. We put some stuff together, get the ideas together, and just be like, hey, coming up in 2 weeks, we got a studio session for 3 hours. Let's get as much as we can in the 3 hours.
Wow.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it started off like that, and we were going there, didn't really know what we were doing. Just going there, I was going there. That was the early days of me attempting to try to produce as well. Just have ideas of what we would do at our shows and break beats that I would run and the ideas I would use at our show. And then we try to turn it around, take the same, concept and the approach of the shows from a lyrical and party aspect, and at the same time, even from the musical aspect, go in there with those records and loop those records, have the engineer help us out and say, hey, okay, loop this up, loop this part up, let me add scratch to that, let me do this, let me do that, until I really started advancing as a producer and got my own drum machine and the equipment and was able to start doing it myself.
Okay. And so those early days, you guys doing your show, what are family and friends thinking about the plans and what you guys were doing?
I mean, they didn't know. They just was like, hey, well, this is what y'all trying to do. They supported us, but they're just like, at the same time, you guys, you got to work, you got to do something.
Yeah.
You can't just sit around here thinking that you're not going to do nothing. What are you going to do? Are you going to college? We tried to go to college. We tried to do any and everything to stay out of trouble and continue to, pursue the dream and at least try to keep our parents off our back. Keep odd jobs, just do different things here and there just to keep, our parents off our back while we worked on the music. And most importantly, try to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, I think for a lot of us who aren't in America, we see whether it's New Jack City or any of this, and we see those who are focused on the dream. But for yourself, then, were there anyone that you were looking at that were out and established and thought, wow, we could be like them, or we should mirror our style like them, or what was it like? Did you try and separate?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, number one, Run DMC. Our whole thing, you look at it, it's 2 MCs and 1 DJ, same thing with Run DMC. So we've always looked at Run DMC as the blueprint.
Okay.
From day one. I mean, but we study people's shows, live shows. Like we would go and see BDP perform all the time. Was a big fan, and still is a big fan of KRS-One and BDP. Love the way that, his stage presence and all that. Like, we love that. Public Enemy was another one.
Okay.
Followed them around, looked at them, and it's ironic that that was our first tour we ended up doing, was with Public Enemy. So, Big Daddy Kane, Biz Markie, was a big influence on us, with Cool, especially, because Biz would spend a lot of time in Jersey because Cool V's actually from Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, so and Biz, we actually met them, and they were actually one of the first champions of us as New Style. Cool V and Biz was one of the celebrity judges a couple of times that they pulled in because we were winning talent shows so much because they used to let the crowd judge. And then they started, other people started feeling like that we were bringing the crowd in and winning because we had such a following that we would just bring the whole block with us and we would bring our own crowd and just win. So they were just like, we're not gonna let the crowd judge no more. We're gonna bring in judges. And Biz and Cool V was a judge on there. one time together, and then Cool V, would DJ the parties, and sometimes V would do it himself, would be one of the judges. So V saw us out there a lot, and he was one of the first champions, and will always tell people all the time, yo, y'all better watch out for this group out of Jersey called New Style. They coming. Like, I see them a lot in the underground, and they out there building themselves up. V was definitely, so much love to Cool V, definitely.
What were
And
you
rest
guys?
in peace, obviously, to Biz.
Yeah, to Biz. No, definitely. But what were you guys doing differently? That made you stand out? I mean, we know when you guys came out in '93 and stuff, but back in those early days, how different was your style that you were getting the crowd over?
Not too much different. What you heard when we came out, the energy you heard on Uptown Anthem, the energy you heard on OPP, Hip Hop Ray, all that, that's what we were doing in our shows. And that's why, you have the call and response on our records. That's why you have the crowd participation on elements in our records, because we were doing that in our show.
Okay.
From the door. Yep.
Because it's different than how Rum DMC and the others were.
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
I mean, we're from Jersey, so we had our own interpretation of how we wanted to come with it and what we wanted to do. But the blueprint, and just the overall touch of everything was definitely built off of our forefathers. The Cold Crushers of the world. Dougie Fresh. Especially with them being the beatbox. Dougie Fresh, Fat Boys. All of those guys, man. Yeah, like all of those guys. And like I said, Run DMC, I mean, who couldn't have, loved Run DMC?
Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.
I begin to